Okay, here's a riddle. Your phone, your car, your laptop, the coffee machine at work, the traffic light outside your window, the pacemaker in somebody's grandpa's chest, missiles that fly faster than sound. What do they all have in common? They all work because of one island. Size of Maryland, 24 million people, and one 94-year-old guy who got rejected from MIT grad school. Failed an exam. Today, his company is worth almost $2 trillion. Dollars. That's bigger than Italy's entire economy. Apple, NVIDIA, the Pentagon, they're all standing in line at his factories. 70% of the world's chips are made there. And here's the crazy part: two nuclear superpowers are ready to go to war over this island. One thinks it's their territory, the other turns into a third world country without its chips. 3 months ago, China ran its biggest military drills ever, missiles flying over the island, ships surrounding ports. Xi Jinping in his New Year's speech, reunification is unstoppable, and the guy who built all this, he just wanted to prove he was worth something after getting passed over for a promotion at an American company. Now that's a story about how one man created a machine the whole world depends on, how a tiny island took two superpowers hostage, and why the next world war might start over a piece of silicon the size of your fingernail. Let's go. 1949, Hong Kong. An 18-year-old kid boards a ship to America. One suitcase, a little money from his parents, and the understanding that he's never going home. The communists just took over China. His name was Morris Chang. Childhood, wouldn't wish it on anyone. Japanese occupation, running from city to city. Shanghai, Hong Kong, back to Shanghai, back to Hong Kong. Dad was a government official who kept losing everything and starting over. And now Morris is in America, got into Harvard, then transferred to MIT, best engineering school in the world. Got his master's in mechanical engineering, decided to stay for a PhD, and then, boom, failed the qualifying exam, didn't get in. MIT basically said, sorry, you're not good enough. Just imagine. You're in your 20s, you're a refugee, you worked your ass off, and they tell you, not cutting it. Years later, Chang would say, that was the best day of my life. If I'd stayed in academia, the world would never have gotten TSMC. But he didn't know that then. He just went looking for a job. 1958. Texas Instruments, young, aggressive company out of Dallas, making some stuff called semiconductors. Sounded like science fiction. Chang got hired as an engineer and found himself in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. His colleague, guy named Jack Kilby, invented the integrated circuit. They'd give him a Nobel Prize for it later. Chang worked right next to him, watched, learned. Turns out he wasn't just smart, he was a brilliant manager, someone who understood tech, money, and people. Rare combo. Over 25 years, he rose to senior vice president, ran the entire semiconductor division, thousands of people, billions of dollars. And then, classic corporate bullshit. 1983, company president position opens up. Chang was the obvious pick. 25 years with the firm. Results? Fire. Job went to someone else. Chang's 52. Hit the ceiling, nowhere else to go. He quit. After a quarter century, walked into nothing, spent a couple years at another company, no enthusiasm. By American standards, time to think about retirement. Then the phone rings. From the other side of the Pacific, Taiwan, little island trying to become something more than a rice plantation. They need someone to build a semiconductor industry from scratch. The offer sounded insane. Come to an island you've never seen and create something that doesn't exist there. Chang said yes. At 54, when normal people think about fishing and grandkids, he moved to Taiwan with an idea the entire industry laughed at. Okay, to understand why they laughed at Chang, you need to understand how the industry worked in the 80s. Everything was vertical. Company designs chip, makes chip, sells chip, Intel, Texas Instruments, Motorola, everyone did everything themselves. That's just how it was. Chang proposed something different. What if you made a company that only manufactures, doesn't design, doesn't sell, just takes other people's designs and prints chips? A factory for everyone. Industry reaction: you're an idiot. Who's going to hand over secret designs to someone else's factory? That's like giving Coca Cola's recipe to competitors. Nuts. But Chang saw what they didn't. Building a chip factory costs billions. Every new generation, they're more expensive. Small companies can't afford it. But what if they don't need to? Let them design, someone else prints. Today, that's how Apple, NVIDIA, AMD, Qualcomm work. None of them have factories. They all print at TSMC. But in '87, it sounded crazy. Chang needed money. Taiwan's government put up almost half. They believed in him. But he needed someone from the West for legitimacy. Chang flew to Europe, talked the Dutch at Philips into investing. And here's a detail that'll give you chills. Philips, the same company that would later spin off ASML, the only company in the world that makes lithography machines for cutting edge chips. Without ASML, no TSMC. Without TSMC, no iPhone. In '87, they just gave some money to this Taiwanese guy with a crazy idea, not knowing they were signing a contract for the future of technological civilization. February 21st, 1987, TSMC officially registered. First factory ran on used equipment from America and Europe. Workers trained from scratch, barely enough money, clients didn't trust them. But Chong did one thing better than anyone: built relationships. Every client knew your design is safe. We'll never steal your idea and start making our own. Pure manufacturing. Gradually, it started working. 94. Young company from California shows up. Called NVIDIA. No money for their own factory. Chang takes the order. Today, NVIDIA is worth over $1 trillion. Their chips power the AI revolution, and every single one comes from TSMC factories. Then Apple came, AMD, Qualcomm. The fabless revolution everyone laughed at ate the industry alive. By 26, 122 billion in revenue, 70% of the global market, near monopoly on the most advanced chips. While Americans closed factories for efficiency, while Intel rested on its laurels, Taiwan quietly became irreplaceable. And that wasn't an accident. That was the plan. Okay, now for the really interesting part: the Silicon Shield. Taiwan, 24 million people, 100 miles from China. China's got 1.5 billion in nuclear weapons. Since the '40s, Beijing's considered Taiwan theirs. Reunification is inevitable. Official party line. Taiwan doesn't have an army that can stop China. No nukes. You can drive across the whole island in 3 hours. What do you do when you're small and your neighbor is huge and angry? Become irreplaceable. Taiwan deliberately concentrated chip manufacturing at home. Didn't spread factories around the world, kept them local. Tax breaks, subsidies, infrastructure, all so TSMC would grow right there. Logic's bulletproof. If the whole world depends on our chips, the whole world has a stake in our safety. Want to destroy Taiwan? Go ahead. But then Apple stops, NVIDIA stops, automakers stop, military stops, insurance through dependency. Genius. Now the numbers. In 1990, the US made 37% of the world's chips. Today, 12%. And that's optimistic. Advanced chips, 3 and 5 nanometers, the ones for AI, Taiwan controls practically all of it. TSMC is a monopolist. 77% of the company's revenue is 3 nanometer, 5 nanometer, and 7 nanometer chips. Everything else is crumbs. How did America blow this? The '90s. Cold War ended. America won. Globalization became the new religion. Let everyone do what they're best at. America designs, Asia manufactures. Intel back then was king. Best factories, best engineers. Pentagon was happy. Everything's domestic. Then efficiency kicked in. Building a factory in the US is expensive. Unions, regulations, environmental rules. But Taiwan, cheaper, faster, better quality. One by one, companies bailed. AMD sold its factories. NVIDIA never had any. Apple moved everything to Asia. Even Intel started tripping. In 2015, they were supposed to deliver 10 nanometers. Couldn't. Delay. Another delay. Meanwhile, TSMC was already printing 7. By 2020, a chasm. TSMC at 5 nanometers. Intel still fumbling with 10. Then, the pandemic. 2020. Everyone's home. Everyone needs laptops. Demand exploded. Factories stopped. Logistics fell apart. And suddenly, no chips. Auto industry froze. Ford, GM, Toyota stopped assembly lines. Couldn't get microchips worth a couple bucks each. Cars couldn't leave the factory. 500 billion in losses over 2 years. Because of chip shortages, America woke up 2022 CHIPS Act, 52 billion to bring manufacturing back. Biggest industrial subsidy in the country's history. By March 26, 30 something billion distributed, but actual working factories? Barely any. TSMC's building in Arizona. First fab launched late 24, 4 nanometers. Apple and NVIDIA already getting chips from there. But you know what this party costs? 165 billion, 6 fabs, research center, and still drop in the bucket. 70% of chips stay in Taiwan. The irony? The Silicon Shield protects the island from China, but makes it a target. Arsenals get bombed first in wars. December 31st, 2025. Xi Jinping's New Year address. Reunification of our motherland is the trend of the times. It is unstoppable. This came right after the drills. Justice Mission, they called them. 2 days. Missiles over the island, ships around ports, live fire 12 miles from shore. Practically territorial waters. A rehearsal. Everyone understood. Two scenarios. First, blockade. Fleet surrounds the island, cuts off sea and air. No shooting. Taiwan imports 90% of its energy and most of its food. Without supplies, a few months. Slow suffocation. Second, invasion. Landing, missiles, capture. Fast, bloody, expensive. Thousands dead. But if it works, question closed forever. Both scenarios hit one problem: TSMC. Block the island. Chips stop flowing. Apple without iPhones. NVIDIA without graphics cards. Pentagon without drones. Global chaos. Capture it. Factories turn to rubble. Bombs, fighting, sabotage. ASML equipment needs servicing from the Netherlands. Engineers flee. Tech gets destroyed. There's a rumor, unconfirmed, that TSMC has a plan. If captured, destroy everything. Don't give China chips, equipment, or knowledge. The Silicon Shield cuts both ways. Capturing the island means destroying its value. Dead arsenal's no use to anyone. But Xi might decide that's an acceptable price. If the goal isn't chips, it's territory. If the goal is humiliating America. And the war's already on. Just not hot yet. US banned selling advanced chips to China. NVIDIA can't trade with the Chinese. ASML can't ship equipment. ASML's China share dropped from 41% to 20. January 26. Trump pulls a move. Instead of simple bans, combo of tariffs and licenses. Want to sell chips to China? Fine. But through the US, 25% duty, testing on American soil. Want to play? Play by our rules. China fires back. Export ban on rare earth metals. Gallium, germanium. Can't make chips without them. China controls most of the mining. This isn't preparation for war. This is war. Just no shooting yet. And here's the telling part: Intel, the legend, the semiconductor king, now outsources 30% of production. To who? TSMC, 3 nanometers. The company that always did everything itself came crawling to the Taiwanese. Morris Chang was right. Everyone who laughed in '87 is standing in line at his factories. Morris Chang is 94. Stepped down in 18 but still gives interviews. Speaks at MIT and doesn't mince words. When asked about chip manufacturing in the US, he said, "Waste of money. Americans don't have a manufacturing culture, don't have the people, don't have the patience." And he knows what he's talking about. The Arizona factory is his baby. 165 billion in investment, and you know what they ran into? Unions. American construction workers wanted different conditions, pay, rules. Taiwanese managers couldn't understand why people won't work 16 hours straight. Americans couldn't understand why they're being trained like rookies. Investigations, fines, a death on the construction site, press scandals. Summer 25, they finally worked something out, conflict supposedly resolved, but the aftertaste remains. And even if everything goes perfectly, Arizona won't replace Taiwan. It'll add capacity, reduce risk, but the center stays where it is. Other players' fates are telling. Intel, dominated for 30 years, then painful turnaround. Former CEO Pat Gelsinger left in December 24. Lip Bhutan took over. Stock doubled in a year, 20 to 40 bucks. Investors believe in the comeback, but technically, Intel's behind. Their 18A process is struggling. client interest, below expectations. They're already talking about scaling back marketing and focusing on the next generation. The irony? Intel and Chang worked in the same industry when it was just being born. Now Intel is TSMC's customer. Student became the teacher. NVIDIA, that startup Chang took on in 94, is worth over $1 trillion now. Jensen Huang, also Taiwanese born, one of the richest people on earth. All thanks to chips from TSMC factories. Trump's pressing Taiwan harder than any president ever, demanding 40% of capacity moved to the US. Taiwan says unrealistic, but signs a deal, 250 billion in US investments, the price of friendship. Dependency became debt, debt piled up for 30 years. Pay with money, 52 billion Chips Act, 165 billion TSMC, 250 from Taiwan. Pay with humiliation, Intel's already on its knees. Pay with war? That's the question. The TSMC story usually gets told as a business case. Smart guy, cool idea, great execution. But this is a story about dependency, about how convenience becomes a trap, how saving money today becomes catastrophe tomorrow. 30 years ago, building in Asia was cheaper. Wall Street applauded efficiency. Today, 70% of chips are on an island 100 miles from China. That could be captured or blockaded any moment. The whole world is a hostage. Empires don't fall to foreign enemies, they fall to dependencies they created themselves. Dependency is debt, and debts get called in. America outsourced chips, cheaper, now paying hundreds of billions, scared. Tomorrow, paying with war, too late. 94 years old, the guy who built this, fled China with a suitcase. MIT rejected him, got passed over for promotion. Today, both superpowers depend on his company. Silicon Shield, genius strategy of a small island, but shields break, and then everyone hiding behind them is left naked. Does your job depend on chips? Phone, computer, car, all of it runs because of an island you probably never heard of. How will you survive if that island disappears tomorrow? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe for more stories about how debts and dependencies destroy empires.